Hello, everybody, and welcome back. And this should be the last part of backend or Node.js API for our e-commerce application. And in this part, we are basically trying to implement a payment system, and the payment system that we are going to use is Stripe, obviously. So, right now, what I'm going to do is to basically create a new controller and name that stripe.controller.js. We could do that. Okay. We could do that by creating a new one here. Say stripe.controller.js. I think we should do that payment. Yeah, let's do that payment. So payments.controller.js. Then inside our payment.controller.js, we can say const stripe. Okay, const stripe is equal to our function, which is request and response. And then yeah, our function, open it up, and then we need a few packages, right? And if a few packages we can use in here. Now, what are these packages? Let's split the terminal. I'm already inside the server directory, so no need to navigate into that side. So what are the packages that we need? We need Stripe. So I'm going to say npm I Stripe, then I install. Right now, while Stripe is installing, I want to go into the Stripe website and then show you some of the things that we're going to be working with. Now, as you can see, when you go to sign in to your Stripe account or create an account as well, open it up, you should see a section here called developers or something. I mean, anytime you go to the home, you should see the developers section. You just click on that and then it should take you. So I just clicked on it again, and then it should load up the this thing here, this menu here, and then I'll just go to the API keys. So basically we have two keys. We have the publishable key and then we have the secret key. Right now we need to understand that the publishable key is the one that we use on our front end, and the secret key is the one that we use on our back end. Right, so how we're going to do this is, for the back end, we're going to install Stripe. Right now that we have Stripe installed, what we can do is we can go up here and then we can import Stripe. Okay, we can import Stripe require. So require Stripe from where? From Stripe. Okay, so require Stripe from Stripe. Now that we have Stripe required, we can do something. Now we have Stripe required, right? But at the end of the day, you're going to ask yourself that where are we going to put our secret key, right? Or there'll definitely be a place where we use our Stripe secret key, right? Now that place is definitely the side. So I'll just create like this bracket right beside it, and then I'll just create a process.env stripe secret. I'm going to do stripe secret. So inside my stripe secret key that we are about to create, I'm going to copy that, and then I'll go into my env and I'll say stripe secret, and then so stripe secret. Then I'll go to the browser and then I'll copy this. So click to copy, and then inside which of them? Yeah, inside this one, just paste it. Okay, now we are working with our Stripe secret key. Let's go back to payment or controller. Okay, now that we have it in here working, what we are going to do is, basically we are going to need a few things, right? We are going to need a token ID, and we're also going to need an amount, right? And then the currency. But the thing is that the token ID is going to be passed through the body through the body of from the front end, and the amount is also going to be passed through the body. I mean, since we are shopping, right? So it pretty much makes sense. Okay, and then the default currency would use for now is the US dollars. So what we are going to do right now is I'm going to use this stripe to create a charge, so charges, and then we would set this quick explanation up. So I'm going to say stripe dot charges. Okay, stripe dot charges, then we create our charge, right? So as you can see, we are supposed to make this a capital. Yeah, so oh no, capital. So over here, when you bring your let me clean this out so you see. So over here, charges, right? Then you create the charge, then inside you have your first object, and then with the key of source, and then your source is taking something from the request or body. And what is it taking? It's taking the token ID from there. Then the next thing we are going to passing is the amount, and then the amount is obviously going to be taken from the request or body dot amount. Okay, now that we have this, we want to add the currency as I mentioned, and then the currency is going to be US dollars. Okay, now that we have USD inside, we're going to pass in our second argument. Our second argument is going to be a function, right? So what we can do is we can say error and we can say response. Okay, now inside the error and response, we want to say that if there's an error, right? Let's do our if else conditions here. So if there's an error, right, we want to, if there's an error, we want to send a response back to the client, which 500, yeah, 500, and then it should be in the JSON format, and then that should be, it should receive the error, so it should send back the error. But if there is no error, then let's send back the response with the status 200 dot JSON. Then we send the response. All right, so basically the next thing we need to do is we export it. So module dot exports, then we say stripe, okay. So now that we've been able to export it, we'll come into our routes folder here, okay, our routes folder here, and then we'll create payment.route.js, okay. And inside payment.route.js, what we'll do is we would import our express routes. So I'm going to say router dot require express, and then the router, it will initialize the router method. So express and then router, we'll call that out here, express router. And then inside the express router like this, what we need to do is you're going to export it as usual. So module.exports, then we export the router as usual. So now that we've been able to work this out, what are we going to do? Let's create our route. So we are going to say that router.post, and then router.post is going to take the path of payment, and then we are going to say stripe, and then let's not forget that we need to make sure that it's recognized over here. So I can copy this and paste, so I can say payments, okay, I can say payments, Okay, so I can actually set it to payments here, and then over here when we go into the payment routes here, we can set that to just this, right? So over here we set that to just payments, and then let's copy this one real quick, and then we take this section, take this section, take this section, cut it off, and then we see what payment routes. Okay, now that we've been able to set this up, we should be able to use it inside our front end. I mean, someone would be like, test it with Postman, test it with Postman, but no, testing with Postman is not a good idea. So you would have to stay tuned for the front end, right? So once we are done with setting up the front end, that's where we are going to implement it, right? And then yes, right after we are done implementing it on the front end, you would understand how it works in general. Okay, thank you very much for watching the tutorial to this very part, and I appreciate you for sitting through the complete backend Node.js API for our e-commerce application. I really appreciate it. I'll be happy if you dropped a subscription for me, you subbed and you liked the video, because that would help push the video to more people, and will do a little bit of good for my channel. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video series for the front end. Bye.